Now let's go inside and see what we have inside the trailer. As you see, we have in all of our doors on-air warning lights. So when the vehicle is in on-air mode, from the automation system, you just press a button, turn on the on-air light, or by using its mechanical button, you turn on the on-air light, and then at least people will take precaution when entering the vehicle because they will know that you are on air. This is our main production gallery. It has two main segments, like the slow motion and CG graphics area and the front production desk for the operational functions. Also, in this area, we have some of our controls. One of our automation control screens is here, so that we can easily choose either lighting or our power system, or even we can control the desk from the automation. This is the back side of our main production gallery, where we can actually have 8 people sitting in these operational areas, and we designed this area very specifically so that everybody can get in their station and get out without disturbing any other operator. For example, if I'm sitting like this, I can easily access to this aisle, or if I'm sitting on the other side, I can easily exit from that side. How we managed to do this is actually not very complicated. The supports of the desks are at the center so that they don't block anybody's movements. Also, additional care has been given on how high they are going to sit and what should be their ideal monitor size so that they can have at least some visual contact with the main monitor wall on the other side of the vehicle. So for this purpose, we try to mount the monitors as low as possible while still providing them easy hand access for the areas where their intercom or router control panels are going to be positioned. On top of that, we have, as you see, these flexible lights, desk lamps actually, which are all dimmer controlled so that whatever the working condition lights are, if they need some additional light so that they can see better for their maybe slow motion controller, EVS or other controller or other devices, or maybe they need to take notes, they can have their individual light and they can work with it without disturbing any other person. Operator, maybe you have some accessories or things you need to store. So these banks are designed so that we can stow away some of our items and they will be safe during the transport. Since we have 2 rows for the back production area, we had to think a bit outside the box how to make working space comfortable for the front row operators. For example, as you see, normally our platform is ending here. But if I would sit like this and have my feet always stuck like this, I wouldn't be very comfortable. So we made these folding leg supports. Why folding? Because when the vehicle is closing, the expansions are closing, actually we don't have space for these. So for road condition, we would be tucking them away like this, but for operation, we would be putting them like this. So does this cause some safety problem? Not actually, because we already have our here locking mechanism, but that locking mechanism does 2 things. One, prevents this from opening during vibrations on the road, but foremost, or the first, it also presses a button inside so that the automation system does know that these are in folded position, so it is now safe to close this area. For sitting comfort, you see now I can comfortably stretch my legs even like this, and I don't have to stress out or try to keep my legs like this and cramp my muscles. This is our main production desk. This desk normally for road condition goes back roughly 60 centimeters, 57 to be exact. And for normal operation, we can pull it out as much as we want, up to 57 centimeters. So we have a mock-up here for a ME vision mixer. We specifically kept the center area as large as possible so that if you would put a, I don't know, 36 cross point, 32 cross point ME panel, it would be wide enough. And on the two sides, we have each four over the table rack units with 4 RU height, and actually a nice 25 centimeters depth. So even if you have some maybe audio monitors or things like that that are actually slightly deep, like maybe TSL or some other products that are 10-15 centimeters deep, you can still easily house them here. Also the monitor wall, naturally you can pick any monitor you like, but we want to give the idea of a full immersive experience. So we decided to put 12 40-inch LCD displays, and as the main function of this monitor wall is viewing the images rather than image quality analysis, we choose to do or you may choose to do a multi-viewer based viewing approach. On this desk, we have the ability to have 8 operators. As you can see, one operator with maybe different gadgets or maybe their own laptop or screens, 2 more operators on this side, and similarly 3 more operators on that side. And then we can have maybe the vision mixer operator and maybe the director or the assistant to the vision mixer operator at the center. But of course these numbers are up to your usage requirements. But one critical thing we would like to highlight is as you can see, the center area has a very clear visibility to the both engineering room and then to the audio room. Naturally, in your OBVAN, you will have your intercom system, but sometimes having the eye contact so that the crew can actually check on each other is very critical. So we try to maintain those line of sights for the eye contact for the central area. We give a lot of importance to this area-to-area visual contact capability. So you see this very large window here allows the audio operator to be able to visually observe what the director is doing. So because some directors don't like, using the intercom, and they may have like with their hands counting 1, 2, or whatever gestures they want to do, and the audio operator easily can follow because of this large window. This vehicle designed with operational ease as one of the key principles. So what do we mean by operational ease? Normally in large trailers or large OBVANs with expansions, you will have the cable tray, the main cable duct, or to say totally embedded in the chassis, very deep, very difficult to access, and if you need to do something, if you need to add some cable or you are in an emergency situation, all of them take a lot of time to access and to do some modifications or changes. In our principle, we actually don't like having so much trouble doing this. So what we do is we are actually standing on top of a raised floor. So the whole floor from front to the back is raised by roughly 10 centimeters, and we have our main cable raceways starting from the power distribution panel, going into the racks, going into the cable pallets to the expansions, and running through the main shaft, going all the way to the audio room, and then also reaching to the TP area. So to access these, we actually have some access panels. How to open these panels is simple. You will have your magnets. You will lift your panel and voila! Now you can access the cable raceway. And this cable raceway goes all the way from the very front of the vehicle to the TP, as I said, with necessary branching to the necessary functional areas. So when you are done, again, very easily, you can just close it and you're finished. You don't need to unscrew certain things, you don't need to go to a meter deep special cable duct or any other things. This is our engineering room or technical room. We have a sliding door. Inside here, we actually have three main components. First one is the operational desk. In this area, we can actually have 6 engineers, camera control technicians, or some other functional operators using their own necessary devices. The table is designed specifically with being able to put any different brand or model of camera control panels on it. So both the depth on the area and also the depth on the surface area will be able to accommodate different brands. Even if you need to mix and match brands, you won't have any problem here. Also, we consider that each of these operational positions will need their unique monitor. So we wanted to simulate this by putting 24-inch screens in front. So we have 6 screens for 6 operators. Just for the sake of cosmetics, we put them with 0 gaps, but as your production requirements, you can center them according to the operational position and as you like. On the top, again, you have multiple options. We just wanted to demonstrate that you can actually benefit more screen size by having a multi-viewer related implementation here. But again, this is up to you. Now, coming to the second important part in this area, this is the power distribution panel. When I say power distribution panel, this is not the whole of the power distribution panel, but this is the power distribution panel for the technical power. I mean the power that we will be using for our production. So we have our UPS selection, so that if we have UPS, of course we will make use of it. If we don't, we can put the system on bypass and use the power directly. For example, if you connect through an external very large UPS, that's also fine. And then each of these will be feeding different MDUs or monitor walls or other separate parts in the technical devices areas. Now the third section is the equipment racks. Of course, this is the most critical part of the vehicle because nearly all or most of your technical equipment will be housed here. Why do we have these doors? Well, it is basically for 2 separate reasons. One is to be able to create an independently air-conditioned, temperature-controlled environment, so that if we are in, for example, winter, we can put the air conditioning system for the operation areas for heating mode, and then still keep the air conditioning system for the racks in cooling mode. So this actually isolated area helps us do that. The second one is, of course, for sound dampening. As people will be operating here, and some of the devices will have huge fan noises, like if you have a 4K multi-channel video server like EVS or its competitors, you will have a lot of fan noise. So to be able to suppress that fan noise, this barrier is also very useful, so that the operators have a less noisy environment to do their tasks. In the technical equipment area, we have 6 racks. each of them with 42 rack units of height, available height, and all of the racks are 80 centimeters deep. But of course this screen in front of them is also another roughly 15 centimeters away, so that if you have some devices with bulging fronts, this is again no big problem. Also, we will show later, but on the other side we also have another 7-8 centimeters of freedom at the back of the racks. So if you have again some bulging equipment exceeding 60-80 centimeters, that is also not going to be a problem. In this room we have actually 3 air conditioning units servicing 2 separate areas. One of the air conditioning units, this top controller, is actually servicing the operational area of the technical room. And then these 2 other units are actually only servicing this enclosed rack space. So in ideal condition, the air channels we designed are each bringing the cold air from the left and right from each of the units separately and servicing 3 racks individually. But let's assume that you have an issue with one of your AC units. So it is very easy to use the duct controls so that you can change the motor controlled flap out on the center to open position and then close one of the other manually controlled ducts so that whichever AC is functional, if let's say that is the one on the left side, you allow the air to come all the way through so that you can service all the 6 racks. So will one AC be good enough? We believe so, because each of the air handling units are capable of 7 kilowatts of cooling power. So as long as your heat budget within the racks is within 7 kilowatts, you will be able to actually cool the system by using only one of them. But of course, when you are using dual, you can have much more effective cooling on the racks. Let me give some information about the materials we used inside the OBVAN. As you see, all our furnitures are with lacquer finish. Well, what's then under the lacquer finish? We are actually using boat grade, or the ones that are used in luxury boats and yachts, plywoods that are very lightweight but durable, so that we don't want to make the vehicle unnecessarily heavy, but we also don't want to use a material like MDF or other artificially bonded, let's say, wood products, where over time they can have stress cracks or they can even eventually turn into dust. So all in the furnitures we have that high grade plywood, and then we have a nice lacquer finish. Yes, of course, paint finishes are prone to scratches, but they are repairable. Unlike some other finishes where once it is scratched, if it was laminated, you need to maybe renew the lamination, and that's a big job. But in the worst case scenario, you just remove the control panels, and then a correct technician or expert comes in and can easily repair and renew the paintworks. Then what are we standing on? Well, on the floor and also on the walls, we are actually again using high grade carpets. Of course, when I say carpet, this is a woven vinyl carpet on the floor, and it's actually not a roll form, but it's 50 centimeter by 50 centimeter square tiles. So when you have some issues, some damages, again, it is very easy to do local repairs in this form of PVC material. And why do we choose woven material rather than a flat surface? First of all, these do provide much better grip when you're walking, and they are a better floor material with having longer lifespan. Then what is under these PVC materials? We are using birch plywood in our raised floor, as well as we are using again the same birch plywood in the walls inside. So this is like the highest grade plywood in terms of durability and strength that you can buy. So that is one of the reasons why we don't need to hide so many mechanical support structures inside the walls in case you want to hang something. The wall inside surface, that 10 millimeter plywood, is a very good load carrying material. Now on top of that plywood, in this build we chose to use a very soft polyamide based, very high grade carpet. Why such a material? Well, first, it has excellent audio absorption properties, so that we are not getting any unnecessary reflections or things throughout the system. And on top of that, it also has a nice sound insulation abilities, as well as heat insulation abilities. And also it has fire retardant abilities. It is antibacterial, so this is a safe material, but at the same time, if you touch, it's a very comfortable material. Unlike some other carpets that we used before, or some others are using, or some other fabrics, you can actually, if it was on your floor at the home, you will easily sleep on it, having the comfort of that. Our audio room. In this room, we designed the room to be comfortable for 2 operators, possibly working on a large segmented high-end audio control surface, maybe a car rack, a Lavo, or any other brand you would like to use, even maybe a Yamaha or others. But of course it is also very comfortable for a single operator as well. In the table is specifically placed low, so that when you place your console on top of it, your hand height again will be at a reasonable 73-75 centimeters type of height, where it should be the normal height you should be keeping your hands while working. Then we have 4 rugs, each of them with 12 RUs, so that if you have, not if, but since you will need your intercom and some other devices that you need to have under your fingertips, so that you will change parameters, you will play something, you will record something, you can house a serious amount of equipment here. The depth of this area at the minimum is 55 centimeters, so this will be good for most of your equipment. We also considered you will have some video monitoring requirements, and to demonstrate that, we positioned 2 24-inch screens. But as you see, we kept sides and the center as empty. Why? Because you will of course have your most probably 5.1 surround sound system, and of course you will have your main left-right speaker, center speaker, and then on the opposite wall we kept specifically empty. For surround applications, we purposefully left the back of the room empty, so that when you need to put your 5.1 systems surround speakers, so that you may have to have your left surround, right surround, you can either position them at high an angle, or you can put them on necessary height for the operator's ear positions. We have our, as usual on the door sides, we have our AC control here, also our lighting control. All our lights, operational lights, are dimmable, and all our cosmetic lights also in this room are color controlled and dimmer controlled, so that depending on the mood of the production or depending on the lighting requirements, you can of course control those. But on top of these, we have our operational light. So because the audio console will need a direct light coming but not reflecting from the screens to be coming to the console. So this one you can dim and you can turn it on and off through these buttons so that you can set your working environment as you want.